Hi there! Welcome back to the Rare Book Views channel, where I talk about how much I love books and book collecting. And sometimes I go on book shopping trips and I talk about what I bought, and I say I can't tell you about some of the things that I bought because they're for presents. And some very kind people who leave me comments, thank you to everyone who's leaving me comments or encouragement. A couple people have asked me, when are you going to show us these presents? And I'm just getting ready to wrap up the holiday book presents so I can show you all the exciting things that I found this year for all my friends and family, most of them. So the way that I generally do it is I have a couple shelves in a closet that I set things aside for presents. And then this time of year, I kind of figure them all out, which ones have to go to the same house, and then package them up. Mostly, I am sending across the country, so that creates some interesting postal considerations, and I will show you where I am. Let's see. Okay, so this is one of my nephews. I'm not sure. One of the big themes you'll see is the more thank you notes I get, the better I am at buying the next year's presents, and kind of the more books you get. So I have one nephew, and I don't get a ton of feedback. I've tried a couple different series with him. I think he is a little more on the active side. So I got him this cool mini weapons of mass destruction, build implements of spitball warfare. So I'm hoping that this is a little more activity based and that might hit the sweet spot. It is like all the books I'm going to show you, I got these at used book sales or mostly charity shops. So this is all things that are going to support really cool causes, as well as reusing things and recycling, which I am a big believer in. So this is going to my nephew's house, and also for his mom, who's an amazing baker, and my brother no longer eats gluten, and I never have. So this is one of my favorite authors for gluten-free cooking, and that is going to his mom. And because it's going cross-country, I am sending it in the flat rate padded mailer. I want to say this is somewhere in the $11 range, and I love the flat rate shipping because I know exactly how much it's going to cost. This is cool. I'm using a regular one because these do not fit in the flat rate shipping, but when I go and actually ship it, I will see if is the regular shipping with USPS going to be equivalent of if I put it in the next higher flat rate box. Sometimes you kind of get a gauge. For books, you can send media mail as long as you're really only sending media. So I could do that, but honestly, I would have to ship it pretty early, and I was not organized this year. This is for my stepmother who enjoyed Downton Abbey. Like all of us, really, who didn't enjoy Downton Abbey? This is a great book. Masterpiece Theater does these companion books, and they have really cool behind the scenes things and sort of the making of, but also some really cool history that gives you context for the show. I have all about tats. I have the one for the Victorious series, and I really love it. It's got really cool ephemera, sort of historical documents around the time. It's really kind of cool. And then for my dad, I left the purse on. This is a book about the moon landing. He is very into the moon and astronauts. He got his private pilot's license at one point, and this year for one of his big birthdays, they went to one of the big NASA places with museums. So I thought this would be cool for him, and I am going to try these in the pad mailers. Okay, so I obviously have a lot of pad mailers because I sell books on eBay. And then the flat rate materials, like the first one I showed you, you can get those delivered to your house for free from the Postal Service. You just need to plan a little bit ahead. They are a little bit slow, especially this time of year. So I like to order them ahead and have them on hand. So for instance, this one is the flat rate padded mailer. This does pretty well with a couple books. And then later I'll show you a larger size. Okay, for my niece, who currently is only into dragons and wolves, I am getting her Julie of the Wolves. This is a great book that I read, I think, when I was her age, and it is a Newbery Medal winner, which is cool. And then for her brother, who just started in a new school, and we heard, I think over Thanksgiving on the family call, that his new school, he gets to do coding, and he really likes that. So I got him Python for Kids. This seems like a high quality book. I know a little bit of Python, so I looked in there to see what kinds of things. It does seem age appropriate. It seems pretty approachable. And he is less of a novel reader, I think, but I would love to get more detail in the thank you notes. Okay, So this one's going cross country, and I think this is probably going to be the best one. And then for my niece, who is the big reader and sends me elaborate thank you notes, she gets a whole box, and I collect them during the year. Her mom is a reader, and her criteria seems to be a good book. That's what I kind of think of her. I'm looking for something that's going to be really good. She generally talks to me. I think we've had a lot of, I love this book, and it was nonfiction. We've had a lot of those conversations, but this year I found a copy of Piranesi by Susanna Clarke. I love this. This was my favorite new books of the year. I don't think it came out this year. I think I read it this year. But I loved it. It is very strange, and it's impossible to explain without spoiling. There's no way to talk about it without spoilers. So I can't tell you about it other than to say it's wonderful. I think it's very on brand-ish for Susanna Clarke, who writes books that are weird. But I like them. Very well written. So this is going to go in the box. And the way I do it is I have a whole shelf for this niece because she's a huge reader and she sends me long letters. I love them. So I'm going to send the rest of the box of books that I have been saving up for her. And the way I do it is kind of a puzzle. So the books that are too big, sometimes if they're small enough, you can get kind of 2 piles in this size box. But there's some hardbacks and it's not going to work. So I have a stack and then on the sides, and I'll wrap them separately. She is 16 and an avid reader. So I thought, what kinds of books would be cool? Catch Me If You Can. I know she likes Agatha Christie, and this is one of the best Agatha Christie's, I think. And then I found this new series, Mystery and Mayhem, and these are short stories by various mystery writers that seem young adult appropriate. And then a book about libraries. This is a great one, Leaf the Unseen. This got great reviews when it came out. It's very sort of online, cyber, and multicultural. She told me she's really into fairy tales, and this is interesting because it involves the jinn, which is a figure in the Quran, and people who are extremely religious makes them a little nervous to talk about the jinn. Jinn are a little mischievous. You don't want to bring them on. Kind of like the elves in my family. Don't make a contract with the elves. Never invite the elves in. Jinn are a little bit similar. And this is sort of sci-fi fantasy where it involves that sort of mythology of the jinn and this sort of figure, and also modern cyber elements and an unnamed police state country. So there's some fairy tale element or some mythology, I think, and then also sort of modern sci-fi storytelling. It's a great book. Let's see. Oh, Hans Christian Andersen. This is a really cool vintage copy. I'm excited to hear what she thinks about that one. And then I also found Russian Tales and Legends. So I think this is a neat one, and I see a lot of these sort of German, English fairy tales. This one's Russian, so I'm hoping that'll be interesting as well. So I can get all of these in this one flat rate shipping box. But like I said, the wrapping, wrap the stack and then the side ones separately, and then we'll see how they get in. So that is my puzzle game. These are the books that are going out. Last year I did a little bit better. Everyone got books. This year it was a little more challenging. So no, there were a couple of non-book gifts this year. But these are all the books that I've been talking about during the year. Oh, I found some things for presents. There's still a few leftovers on the shelves of maybe someone's getting their next birthday present will be a book, or because this box of the books, there's some leftovers. And this niece, her sister also gets books, usually for her birthday, but she's not quite as big of a reader. So at Christmas, she gets something else. And that means these are all the books. So I hope that is interesting. Like I said, I appreciate everyone who asked for it and watches the videos and then gives me suggestions. It's super fun for me. Thank you for all the support. I hope that you are going to get all the books that you want for Christmas, and happy reading.